Selectmen meeting for Tuesday, January 20th, 2026. Order. For the business pledge of allegiance. So,
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
sure. Item 2, public forum. Limited to 3 minutes on any agenda item. Anyone wishing to address the board in public forum? In the room? Section. Sure. Someone up in.
Okay.
State your name.
Yep. An address?
Yes.
First time I'm doing this, so.
Right on the end there.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll be brief anyway. My name's Kevin Riley. I reside at 376 State Street. Been a resident almost 6 years. A member of the Guilford Yacht Club board. So I came down here just to introduce myself, see how the processes work here. I'm recently retired. So I expressed interest in the fire commissioner position. I submitted my resume, and I just want to make sure you put the name to a face. On a side note, Guilford Yacht Club, just to give you a heads up, we're an origin of those blue bug boxes you see around town. That came from my uncle, who's an entomologist. Yeah, and they were highly effective at the Guilford Yacht Club. And apparently the town adopted it. So I just wanted to let you know it's about an 85% effective with not using pesticides. And they've been around in the Northeast for about 40 years now, but I'm glad to see they're working out. But once again, Kevin Riley, and when and if the position opens up, I just wanted to put the name to a face. All right. Thank you very much. It's nice to meet you all. Thank you.
Speaking of the yacht, we submitted an application on behalf of the yacht club last Friday.
Yes, thank you.
For dredging. So hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Good things are happening down there. Thanks very much.
You're quite welcome.
Up to.
Yep.
Debbie Demusis, 18 Sugarloaf Road. This is more a sort of like, I guess, a public service announcement than anything else to all of our representatives that are on boards and commissions, that when their term is up, that it would be great if they could contact, in my case, the RTC to let us know so that we could submit a reappointment email. And that has to do specifically with the fire commission issue. Amy Sullivan's term was up in 10/16, and she didn't call me to reappoint her. On December 11th, when she had not gotten in touch with us since her term was up in October, we called and left a message for her someone from the RTC called and left a message. There was no response. There was a follow-up text to her on December 14th with no response. She was called on 1/14/26 after some other issues and did not answer, but she did send a text back stating, "Sorry, I can't talk right now." So it seems to appear that our text that was our follow-up text to the call on December 14th, here's the call and here's the text. So she was notified. She never got back to us. So in doing so, she was not reappointed by our committee. So at our December meeting, we specifically in our minutes say we were checking to see if there was an opening because we had not heard from her. And if so, we would like to nominate Kevin Riley. He has submitted his application. He's a retired firefighter, and we think he would do a good job. If Amy is no longer interested, we would nominate him. So this gets very confusing. So we have all proof that we tried reaching her and we had not reached her. And so we nominated someone. So it does put the RTC in a very difficult position. So from now on, if there is a member of a Republican Party on a board of commission and they know their term is up and they could reapply, it would be very helpful for them to notify me.
Thanks, Tim. Just a quick note to that. We'll probably have more discussion on it when we get the boards and commission appointed. The term reappointment from the Republican Town Committee is not appropriate. It's renominated.
Okay, renominate.
You do not.
I agree.
Correctly.
Yep.
And then secondly, as has been custom, I believe, back through the Maz administration, applicants could apply directly and make their intentions known directly to the board, to the selectman's office. And that is in fact what happened in that case.
Right.
As to your communication paths or lack thereof with some of your candidates, I can't comment on that.
Right.
But thank you for
Yeah.
making that public service announcement that they should contact you if they're interested. So thank you. Okay, anything else under public forum? Hearing none, let's move on to item 3, approval of minutes, 3.1, January 5th, 2026. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Second. Any comments, questions, suggested changes, deletions, etc.? Hearing none, let me try your minds. All in favor?
Aye.
I'll recuse myself because I was out of state at the meeting. So, item 4, fire department. 4.1, discuss and take possible action to approve a remount of a 2018 Chevy ambulance from X for $176,501.88. Good morning, Chief.
Good morning. This is the remount process of the ambulances. We currently have one brand new ambulance in build process right now, which should arrive in around May or June of this year. And then the remount on process, which is the process of instead of buying a brand new ambulance every time, the boxes that the ambulance are on top of the chassis are good for approximately 25 to 30 years, where the chassis in terms of miles and breakdown wear out much faster than the boxes themselves. So the remount is us sending the chassis and box down to Excellence, and when they take it apart, they put a new chassis underneath it, they remount it, they do some refurbishment, paint work, and certify it to be good again. So for a cost of $176,501.88, which is in our capital budget.
Any comments or questions?
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
I'm just curious, we put this out to bid, or is it one of those situations where nobody's doing that except for a couple of companies?
So in terms of bidding, we've been with this same company, Excellence, in terms of same company, the process of remounting and certifying the ambulance. I'd say in terms of a sole source vendor, most people are trying to sell you a new ambulance, but in terms of a shop that actually takes our chassis or our box and remounts them themselves, it hasn't been out to bid, meaning that we could put it out to bid, but we've stayed in the same practice for almost 25 to 30 years. And when you look at the price of what we're paying, it's pretty competitive.
Okay, yeah, so I was sad to hear that answer, but I thought that was going to be the answer. Another question, though, that comes to mind is in our budget hearings, something stuck with me that they said from Public Works that some of their mechanics were qualified to work on fire equipment. Don't know if it's applicable here, but is it possible that the Public Works could do the remount?
No, they're not able to certify the ambulance to the KKK spec. So that's why it goes to an ambulance dealership to get remounted, because it meets all the current. It also has to be state certified to that spec too. So it's not you can't just send it to a public works department or a garage up the street or really anybody. So an ambulance dealer that remounts and builds ambulances is who we send it to get it certified to the current standard and meet the current requirements.
Okay, if it's something we thought about long-term vision, would it be possible to ever get them certified to do this kind of work, or?
We could look into anything. If the public works director is interested in remounting ambulances and certifying ambulances, but it's not just the ambulance, it's the box as well. So the equipment that goes with it and the boxes that's the manufacturer, right? So essentially just like the ladder truck, where we sent the ladder truck back to the ladder truck dealer, this has been our ambulance vendor. We send the ambulance to the ambulance vendor. So it's kind of like a specialty work. You know, if the public works department was, if that's what they did, was remount ambulances, it would make sense. Just like our Chevys, we bring back to the Chevy dealership when there's warranty issues and items. Our Fords, we bring to the Ford dealership, because those manufacturers are specific to work on those types of equipment. So it would not be normal to be like apples and oranges. You know, if we brought an ambulance down there to remount for the public works department, it would probably be foreign to them because they've never done it before.
Okay.
And why we send it down to the manufacturers, because that's what they do all the time.
Okay.
So when it comes to efficiency and manufacturing and the way they have their line set up to pull the box off, to set things in line, that's just like the fire truck manufacturers, just like the ambulance manufacturers. That's what they do every day.
I'm sure they have some degree of excellence in it.
Oh, they're very good.
Pun intended.
They snap their certification stamp on it, and the state of Connecticut meets the state of Connecticut requirements. which is challenging. So, I mean, that's what they do is they remount
And I was
ambulances
just
there.
curious, do they do the work in Alabama? Is that where they're located?
Yes,
So
Yep.
do they actually drive it down there or they?
correct. Yep.
Okay.
The chassis gets driven down there. And then everything gets done. The new chassis is ordered from the Chevy dealership locally, just like we would order a government chassis for government pricing here. They have a company in Alabama that does the same thing. That chassis comes in, they pull the box off, and they go through the full remount. Lift the box off, put the new chassis underneath, paint anything that needs paint, new stickers, new labeling.
Yeah, I read through a lot of the.
And if you look at the current cost of what we're paying from the price that we locked in 2 years ago for an ambulance, it's approximately $370,000 for a brand new ambulance. So instead of paying $370 every time for a new ambulance, when the only thing we need to do is remount the chassis itself,
Yeah.
it makes sense. It's more fiscally responsible to not pay that extra $200,000 every single time we need
Yeah,
a
I
new
remember
ambulance.
those comments from previous times. Okay, thought I'd ask the right questions.
Good
It'd be
questions.
kind of cool to see them rebuild ambulances in Connecticut, or right in the Public Works Department, but easier said than done.
I could talk to Dave and see if he
Yeah.
wants to get in the remount business. But
How often do we
Great.
do a remount? I mean, it's
so if,
very few and far between.
the remounts are set up for approximately every 2 years for the 10-year cycle, and then there's a gap to when it starts again. So if you look at the capital budget, and it's based on the mileage, the wear and tear on the vehicle, and approximately every 2 years in the budget cycle for capital budget, and then there's a break from the 4 ambulances that we have from that cycle. And then the other thing we have to watch, this is our last box. So the brand new box that we're getting now, that's getting ready to come in May and June, is I say it's our last new box. So it'll be good for approximately 25 to 30 years on the warranty and the wear and tear on the box itself. So it's not often, but based on the cycle of the vehicle and the ambulance, it's set up. So we're in a cycle.
So as far as bidding out, it's just a sole provider. There's just not even anyone to.
It's like it's how do I say it? It's like anything. Like if we could put it out to bid, we could put it out to bid. But this vendor has been the vendor for the box and the chassis and the remount and the total setup. So we could put it out to bid. But I will tell you the delay right now, the delay time, as you're aware, and actually Blumenthal's got a thing this afternoon at 11 o'clock on the delay of fire trucks and how long it's taking to manufacture and remanufacture things. It's up to 3 years wait. And as you know, in the last year or 2 or 3, we're getting busier and busier. So the miles are accumulating and we're starting to actually rotate ambulances to manage the miles on the vehicles themselves until we get our new chassis and our new box, which is coming in about May or June for the first one. This is a remount, so this is slated for 2027. So we won't see this ambulance for at least another year to year and a half. So it's challenging to balance the increased call volume, the miles on the ambulances, and moving stuff in and out to circulate that mileage.
Okay. I don't know if the first selectman's going to want me to throw this one out there, but would it impact your plan to add another ambulance shift?
Good question.
Yes.
So you're asking if we add a 5th ambulance to the mix?
No, I just meant with our current situation, your current plan, or will you be waiting for that ambulance to come back to?
So no. So we currently have 4 ambulances.
All right.
This is an existing ambulance will slide out. I say slide out and come back. The new one will be in place, and we will have it'll go down for remount and come back, but it's not going to impact the plan at all.
You got enough to
But
cover that.
I didn't know if you were asking if we needed a 5th ambulance. We're not at that point yet. We have
Okay.
2. We have a primary and a secondary fully staffed. The plan was based on part-time, which is our 3rd and 4th ambulances. Unless we see call volume really get to the point where there's 3 ambulances out of town and there's only 1 in reserve, we can evaluate that at the time. But I think we have a little ways before we get there.
Didn't mean to go too far off the track.
No, good question. Any other questions from me? Thank you.
Thanks.
Hearing none. Is there a motion to approve the remount with excellence for $176,501.88? So moved. So moved. Second. Let me try your minds. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries unanimously. Mike, 4.2, discuss and take possible action to approve the request to dispose of a 2013 Ford F-550 bus.
So this bus was given to us for free at no cost, but obviously everything's got a cost in terms of maintenance and wear and tear. Came from Ninetown Transit originally. It was one of the Ninetown Transit federally supported buses. it was end of service life for them as a primary driver. So we don't utilize the bus often for, large training events or funerals and promotional stuff. So we reached out to Pam Geary, and obviously they have 4 buses down there. Kind of collaboratively said, hey, if we needed a bus in the middle of the night, it's probably more cost effective and more efficient to share the resource. So they agreed to give us a spare set of keys for one of the buses in case at 2 a.m. if we needed it. We've used it like for a large scale, like the bus rollover in the Madison Guilford line. Years ago, we had to like a warming area to get some passengers into some warmth. So basically, I'm just looking to continue this down the line and work with Pam for efficiency and use the bus there when we need it.
Great, good. My assumption is we're going to follow the traditional disposal policies as determined by purchasing, which means you get to offer it to every department
We could if
first.
they
right?
really-
Any
if they
department
want
wants a bus, which I doubt we're going to take. And then we have the disposal process. So, good. Any other questions?
When you dispose of it, do you auction it off or
Most often we auction. Now,
see if
now you
anybody
realize
is ponying up some money for it?
It's usually not a lot,
No.
but if we can get something for it, it's better than nothing.
All right.
And when we say auction, Jonathan, it's an online, it's electronic auction, done now. We don't have to post the notice in the paper to do any of that, or go through, take time, or, in our finance department to manage that process. It's all done electronic. So, all right, any further questions for Mike? Comments? Hearing none, is there a motion to
So
approve?
moved.
Second. Try your minds, all in favor?
Aye.
Carries.
Thank you.
Everyone.
I will. Thank you.
Take a quick break, I think.
Yeah, Mike.
Mike? Chat later today? Thanks. I don't see Dave Castro. So,
Right. I'll call Matt. I'll call.
these are pretty perfunctory, I think, right?
Yeah.
Give it a minute. Thank you.
At least the word it fall. Never gonna.
All right, well, Mitch is trying to get Dave. Item 5, Public Works. 5.1, discuss and take possible action to approve $70,000 for Public Works to purchase 1,001 ton salt from
That's great.
They store it. They've got a shed.
Down at Public Works.
At Public Works, yeah.
Behind it.
It's down in the flood zone.
It's downstairs.
Yeah. Floods on.
Exactly.
I mean, I presume it's raised.
It is raised. It is raised. Dave's on his way up. So we'll wait a second. Of course, I think we've been going through a little more salt, and possibly some Brian of late. They were pretty busy this weekend. Yeah, a couple of times, right? A couple of different
The
days.
thing is, there's two bursts of storm.
I know. Some of it is just enough, but got to remember there are 2 climate zones in Gilbert.
Yes, there are.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's below Route 80 and above Route 80. So I remember years ago when
Really?
when Alex was first in school.
Yeah.
And we'd have rain down here in the middle of Gilbert. You didn't think, the bus didn't show up. Right? Well, that's because in Guilford there was snow, and they called the delay, and they called this. Want to wait for Dave? Oh, here he is.
Sorry.
Just in time inventory. Here we go.
Sorry, I'm late.
All right. I'm sure you were busy doing something else. Good morning.
Good morning.
Take a deep breath. We're talking about the action to approve $70,000 purchase of salt from Morton Salt. 1,001 tons.
Yeah, that's what it came out to, the total. So it's off of a state auction from Morton Salt. It's just straight salt. It's not treated. And that's just to get us through. We'll generate a purchase order for that amount. That actually, hopefully we'll have an excess that we could carry over.
Carried for this year.
Yeah.
Because we just depleted our carryover from last year.
Or
We're
we're
beyond.
getting close.
We're getting close to it.
We're getting close. And the issue is we ran into last year was we ordered the salt and it didn't come and it just kept waiting. And, you know, I was just ordering at 100 tons when we needed it. And what happened was they were going with the bigger amounts. So
They were taking care of the big,
Yeah.
big orders, right?
so my goal is to put in bigger orders so that we get put to the front line.
And this is able to be stored safely year to year?
Yes.
And look, I'm sorry.
Oh, we store it in the shed. And if we don't store it in the shed, we have a bin, and an excess bin, we put it in, we tarp it, and we put hay bales around it for the MS4 compliance.
And it looks like, is my math correct? It's about $70.
It's $69.88 a ton right now.
Okay.
Close to 70.
Yeah, considering you can spend for $40, for 40 pounds, one of our local home stores, you can pay $50
Yeah.
for one of these bags. Okay. So just some context of what we're buying and what we're paying for.
Oh, yeah.
There's value in a large purchase, apparently.
Yes.
Of course, if you bought a ton for your house, threw it in the basement or something, a little bit difficult to manage.
I bought bigger volumes of less useful stuff, I can tell you.
That's like a Costco quantity.
Well, yeah, that's it.
I had,
I don't remember where it's budgeted, Dave, for it's just in your operating budget.
It's in our winter maintenance budget.
Do you have room for it?
I do. I actually, that's why I came here late. I had Lisa look up what we had for carryover in this year. We have 50,000 this year, and then carried over from last year, we still have around 40,000.
You've got, well, it's only, am I reading it right? 22,000 available in this year's after encumbrances. You can,
Encumbrances probably are for salt.
oh, okay,
Right.
okay. Oh, got it. Okay. Thank you.
That's a pretty typical encumbrance. Yeah.
so I got the usual question. Do we go out to bid for this pretty big item?
We use the state bidding process for the salt. There are other places that we could use, but they're not on state bid, so they're a little more. But luckily for us, New Haven
Yeah.
comes right out of New Haven, so it's pretty
How
close.
do you feel? You feel like we're getting a good price from that process?
I do. They put it out to the crowd too, and you know, and it kind of ends up being the same price. So
Good.
right now we're good.
Any further questions for Dave on salt? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Let me try your minds, all in favor?
Aye.
That motion carried. 5.2, possible action to approve $40,000 for Public Works to remove contaminated soil to Red Technology in Portland.
Right.
Where's the soil?
So it's our sweepings. It's our sweepings, our catch basin cleanings. Last year with this amount, we're able to move a little over 500 ton, which is, it seems like a lot, but when you look over there, it's like, wow. But we're getting ahead because we're not using sand salt mix anymore on the roads. So the catch basin cleanings are getting less, which is nice. Now we're able to, in the summer, we'll be able to start inspecting pipes and seeing the shape that they're in and everything with our new Vector. So this is actually great. I love the fact that we haul this out. We haul it ourselves so that we save money. And we just bring it right to the Red Technologies, who's sole source vendor right now, in Portland. And, it's around 500 ton that we'll get out of there.
Any further questions?
Yeah, I seem to remember a presentation from Janice at one point that involved testing the discharges from the stormwater drains, stormwater system.
Right.
Does that happen periodically? Does that happen
Every year.
sort of continuously?
Every year, the MS4 Stormwater Management. Janice, you're online? I don't know.
So for the soils that we haul out, we have, North Star Environmental come in and they test it. They have to test it after every 500 tons, they'll test it.
Okay.
So if we hauled out 300 ton,
Yeah.
that test is good for another 200 ton, and then they have to test it.
Gotcha.
And so they just tested it now. We're waiting for the results, and then because we have to have a manifest for Portland to tell them what's in the soil.
I'm going to steal the public service announcement concept and just sort of make the point that we know what goes into these drains. And there's a way to know, and people need to think twice about dumping anything down a storm drain.
Right.
We got enough work to keep them clear and functioning, and thanks for the report.
Yep.
So
Janice, thanks for hopping on. Lou sort of asked a question that's related, and that was the testing that we have to do on stormwater through the MS4 Stormwater Management Program. You might mind commenting briefly?
Yeah, so we operate under the MS4 permit, and so we do annual testing of, I believe it's 6 identified locations. We also do inspections, dry weather inspections to see if there is potential illicit discharges because of flow when there shouldn't be flow in our drainage system. What Dave's doing is actual soil testing, which is from the materials collected in the roadway, which is the sweepings and the catch basin cleanings. So that's soil testing versus this stormwater testing, but it is all interrelated in that it's materials that comes from our roadways, as well as storm drainage that may be polluted from the runoff from roadways and adjacent properties. I do an annual educational letter in the events magazine reminding people about stormwater management and what to, some best practices to prevent runoff from their own properties into not only our storm drainage system, but it all ends up in our waterways to try and prevent pollution. Our number one pollutant in Guilford, as is typical, is nitrogen from fertilizer runoff, as well as, since we're a septic system community, nitrogen can be a high pollutant from septic system failures and things. But the biggest, I think, thing that people can do in their yards, pick up your, animal waste when they walk their dogs, as well as limit the fertilizing to what is absolutely necessary and not over fertilize it, if not fertilize at all.
Because these stormwater drains go out to the creeks in the West River and whatnot, and out to the sound, and that whole
Yeah.
nitrogen management of sound is critical.
Yeah, our entire town eventually drains to Long Island Sound, but in the, intermittent, as the stormwater system discharges in different locations in the subcategories of drainage areas, they go to streams and ponds and lakes, which all eventually flow to Long Island Sound. So we have, hyper localized potential for contaminants, and then also the overall contamination of Long Island Sound.
Great. Thank you, Janice.
Thank you for jumping in.
And Red Technologies, as you mentioned, is the sole source. We utilize them exclusively when we were doing the soil contamination cleanup over at 52 Church Street.
Yes.
Next to the next
Community
building
center.
next to the community center.
Right.
So,
Which was an oil tank, buried oil tank.
yeah, buried oil tank
Yeah.
leakage, and
Yeah, we haul that out.
we wound up with a couple different contracts with them for that, for 2 phases. That's right.
Mhm.
Good. All right, anything further?
It sounds like we have to get rid of this stuff, right? Bring it to
Right.
Red Technology, so it's disposed of properly. Any advantage in like holding on to the stuff and bringing them a bigger package of it to save money to, in that way, get any kind of discount or a little savings on hauling? You haul it once, less often.
Well, that we just do it once a year. We only haul that once a year, unless there's a situation like a 52 church. But we just, as far as savings, there's not really any savings. They know they're the only game in town, and
Okay.
It's tough. I've reached out to vendors to see if they could haul it themselves, and the price is astronomical compared to what we're saving by hauling it to Red Technologies, because then they charge you for their drivers, their labor, they're coming, so they put a vig on everything as more services that they do for the town.
And
It's
there's no
tough.
other vendor that would just take delivery like Red Technologies do.
No, we haven't found any yet. We keep looking. If we go
Red Technologies is certified by the state to do this kind of disposal.
Right.
It's a highly regulated process.
right,
And Dave, I think you just mentioned that the stockpile is going down. At a certain point, we're going to be getting rid of just the stuff that we collect each year.
that's the goal
That's the
to get
goal,
down
right?
there.
So the other consideration here is stockpiling it, which we had done for a number of years, is really not environmentally friendly to that particular part of town.
Right.
Because that is potentially leaching into soils and leaching into streams, et cetera. So
Right.
even storing it in a concentrated place, yeah, it's nice, it's all in one place, but that has some impacts. Because I believe you're adjacent to the East School.
Right. And that storage facility is designated as only a temporary storage facility. So when we get to leaving it there, it becomes more than temporary. So we're doing our diligence in getting it out.
Anything further? Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve the Red Technologies contract.
Second.
Thank you.
I'll
Second. Second. Let me try your minds. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries.
Thank you.
Dave. You guys out all weekend?
All weekend. All weekend. It looks like again this weekend.
Yeah, don't say that.
I know. Well, we've had a few very mild winters. I bet the guys are no, they're getting tired. They're probably happy.
Well, yeah, they're happy.
Especially when it falls on a weekend.
Oh, yeah. Thanks.
Good. Thank you, Dave. Item 6, discuss and take possible action on an ordinance amendment to section 9-29 of the town code. Standing Fields Committee as a result of the public hearing held on January 5th. John Kennedy, chair of Standing Fields Committee, not Standing Building Committee. How often I've said it the wrong way over the years. But John, thank you for your service. You've been doing this for what, 25, 30 years, as have many of the members. So I think the issue, and my apologies for having missed the January meeting to give a little more description, but was the need for the Standing Fields Committee has diminished over the past years, particularly as we've gone to the synthetic turf fields at the high school, a couple of those things. So John had approached me about modifying the Standing Fields Committee ordinance to more accurately reflect the need and the amount of work, the workload, et cetera. So Pete, John had given me some ideas about what they were looking for, dropping the membership, dropping the frequency of meetings, and Pete worked to put this together. I know John and I had some conversations about, do we even have to say a quarterly meeting? Pete's pretty firm that if you're going to have a committee, you have to designate some schedule of meetings. You can always cancel a meeting. You don't have to have it. So if there's no reason to have a quarterly meeting,
Honestly, that's a meeting.
They're going to be posted at the beginning of the year, and then we cancel them because the need is obviated. That's not unlike what happens with the Ethics Commission. They do not meet on a regular basis. But John.
I apologize for not being at the last meeting, but I thought I'd get an invite. I didn't. Excuse my voice. Yes, our committee. I joined the committee 1 year after it was formed in '99. So I've been on it 27 years. Paul Schmidt, who's my vice chair, he was one of the original members in '98. We're the last two long-term members. Everybody else we've filled as we've needed. We've gone from a large bit of the members showing up to fighting to get a quorum. The fields are in great shape. Tony and his crew are amazing. We just don't have a lot to talk about every month, especially this time of year. So we opted to look at it in a different way. We originally said an ad hoc committee, which you have a couple boards in town that meet as needed. That's basically why we were formed, to go oversee the high school during their construction of new fields. Once that was done, they kept us involved because we oversee the fields and their needs, their safety. And we've gotten to the point now that we're just talking over the same things every month. So we've canceled meetings, no quorum, lack of discussion. So in September, we've thought maybe we would just take the winter off because there's nothing to talk about. I want to clarify that I am still chairman of the committee. I am stepping down once we know our situation. I would like to stay on as a committee member because I enjoy what we do. We get good results. And we just wondered if there's a way to lower the amount of members and the amount we meet. We've talked quarterly. Quarterly probably will work. Call as needed might be the better. But you can meet 4 times a year and still have special meetings.
Yes.
When we need it. So the argument that was at last meeting that the 4 times a year was not going to be enough, it's sort of a moot point because we can meet other times.
It's no less. It's phrased as no less.
Right. So, but it was said that they thought we should meet more by somebody on the Zoom.
Yeah.
So we opted to go in that direction. So we're just looking for a new format for our committee. As a matter of the members, we have, I think, 8 right now. 5 active. So if we were limited to 5, I think the membership should be decided on either seniority of length of time involved. Of course, interest is a big thing. So we can narrow it down. I imagine there are some members that would step down. Sure, I don't have time anyway.
They haven't been going to meetings anyway.
But anyway, I thought I'd come today just to explain or answer any questions that weren't asked before to somebody that has the real insight of the committee rather than somebody that hasn't attended for 5 or 6 years.
Got it. Thank you for that clarification, John. Appreciate it. More importantly, thanks for your work over all the years. Because there was a time when you guys were pretty busy.
Sorry.
There was a time when you guys were very busy.
And there's times we get issues that are month to month to month we have to resolve.
Yep.
But Pam and the crew, they got it together. They know what they're doing.
Okay, questions? Any?
Well, a question came up last time about how the committee is reduced, and it probably will be kind of self-selecting. As you say, some people will come,
We fighted them up.
Yeah.
We start selling.
but we do have the minority party rule.
Bare majority.
Yeah,
That's
the
right.
bare majority rule, right, exactly. So that has to be thought about. And then since we appoint members to committees, to
Yeah.
commissions, we would then,
It's my intention to work with John and his committee to
Mhm.
find out who is interested and to make a determination.
out the
on it,
formula.
And to come back to you with
Yeah, back to
with
us.
a recommendation. And
I intend to send out an email after this meeting just to generalize what we talked about
great.
and to put a flyer out there to say who's still involved.
Yeah.
I am stepping down. The big part of it is who's going to chair.
Right.
Paul doesn't have the time anymore.
Right.
And the rest of them, either they don't have the experience and the feel that they can do that and commit is going to be a difficult move. If it was set as an ad hoc, I'm sure we put a chairman in place
Yeah.
that would work.
That raises the question, could it be?
And Pete had recommended we go this route. As opposed to an ad hoc, which is really not an official board, which doesn't have any authority. Not.
I think we should vote to go this route, and if we encounter some terrible obstacle with it, we'll have to revisit it.
Agree.
It could be a trial year. It could be-
Yeah.
We could learn a lot. We could say, no, this doesn't work.
Got it. Anything else?
But looking at it from the inside,
Right.
that's what we see as the best of it.
Right.
Thanks, Jim.
I have a question.
Sure.
I guess point of order. Mr. Selectman, should we vote on the change before we have the method to prune down the
Yes.
members?
Yes, we're changing the ordinance,
There is a
and as
method.
a result of the ordinance change, we can then reduce the membership rolls.
Okay, I was wondering which came first.
That's the mechanism that triggers doing that. We couldn't do that without the ordinance being effective.
All right.
Anybody else?
No, I'm gonna submit today to, Ms. Garcia, our active list. As chairman, I assumed too much, I think, that our clerk should submit our minutes, our agendas. And when somebody resigns, they submit a form to you saying we're leaving.
That's a
Several of them didn't do it. So the list is not accurate. So I'm going to submit today the accurate list. But we haven't met since September. And we don't plan to probably until March.
Well, I'll make the motion to take action on an ordinance amendment for the Standing Fields Committee.
second.
I'll second.
Any further comments or questions? The only comment, John, thanks for all your years of service.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much appreciated.
Thank you.
Volunteerism is what makes this town run. And thank you very much for your service.
Been on the Lightning Committee. It's been a great group.
All right, let me try your minds. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries.
Well
Thanks,
done, John.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Good morning, Pam. I'm not Pam, Ann. I'm looking right at Pam. Item 7, discuss and take possible action to approve a contract with TPA Design Group for an affordable housing parcel study. Good morning.
Good morning.
A little background, if you wouldn't mind. You
Yes.
gave us some, but
So Matt and I had the opportunity to meet with Ben Lovejoy from the Department of Housing. I think we started talking to him last spring. The department was looking for projects that the town would consider. They have a certain pot of money, I don't know how much it is, between all of their towns, that they can use to help us work on our affordable housing problem. And so Ben came to us and said, do you have projects you'd like to do? We came up with a short list of projects we thought would be important to fund for the town. And we had a little back and forth, and we came up with this idea of doing or redoing an affordable housing parcel study where we're looking at all of the parcels, literally all of the parcels in town via GIS to create a matrix to analyze those parcels to eventually identify where parcels exist that we could either work to purchase or try to negotiate something with landowners so that we could start building more affordable housing. So this is an initial study to look at all of those parcels via GIS. We went out to RFP, and they were the most qualified vendor. In the background, simultaneous with this, we were working with a direct contract with the Department of Housing to fund the study. So this is a $75,000 study. The state is paying for all of it. We just have to manage the project. And we've gotten to the point, we got the signed contract from the state in December. And this is our next step to sign a contract with our consultant. I probably didn't do that well.
no, you did. You were fine, absolutely fine. This is not dissimilar to a process we did, 12 years ago, 10, 12 years ago, to identify parcels.
Right.
And obviously, I think as we all understand, that parcel analysis needs to include some understanding of the infrastructure restraints that we have here in our community relative to development, sewers and water.
Yeah, so there'll be a matrix of essentially judgment calls, where does sewer, not sewer, a little bit, where does public water infrastructure exist? Does that parcel get more points or ranked higher? What is its relationship to our flood zones? What are the relationships to the zoning ordinance? There are a whole series of judgment calls that will go into a matrix of, filtering essentially these parcels down to what we consider to be the most available, I guess, I don't know what the word is.
Highest potential.
Yeah, the highest potential parcels for development.
Good.
For affordable housing.
Questions?
So I guess, the state's paying for this, but does it go out in any way to see?
Yeah, state requires us to.
So this came back from bid as
Yeah.
as a little bit.
We
Okay,
we
and then-
interviewed,
We interviewed,
you narrowed it down to.
yeah, we had 4 submissions. We interviewed 2 the consultants, and this was the
I
one
was
that
on that
the
committee.
steering committee chose. Yeah.
And we've done work with TPA in the past.
Yeah.
Okay, and then this question came to mind, you're hiring a consulting firm to do some of this research. Would it be possible for some of our existing departments to do it instead? Save the money, more money goes towards.
Yeah, we don't,
Affordable
I mean, there's only 3 people in my department. We don't have the capacity. We would be the logical place for this to happen with our regular run of business. We don't have the ability to do a study like this.
Okay, and now another concern that someone sort of planted in my head, and I want to try and determine is if we do this study now, after the passing of HB 8002, is it possible that the state could go ahead and decide to develop one of these parcels on their own? Without us perhaps recommending it?
Now, Jonathan, I think you're starting down the path of a discussion on 8002 and the taking over the local zoning control, and that's actually an item I have to talk to. So I'm not sure that's an appropriate question to ask. And this one.
Okay, I don't actually know the answer.
Right.
Someone asked me that question.
Yep.
and kind of
I have a suspicion.
into
I have a
discussion.
suspicion who asked you that. That's another story. Any other questions for Ann
And
on
we would-
this?
We would, even if we did take this on with the 3 people, state wouldn't give us the $75,000.
Right.
I mean, we're not gonna get any money out of it. We're getting, the wonderful thing is we're getting a good study out of it and the state's gonna pay for it, so.
Yeah.
This is a win-win, I think.
And
Or we could save the state money too, you know.
Well, I suppose, but this is, something we're supposed to be doing.
The state has a mission
Yes,
to find more
Yeah.
affordable housing across the state.
Yeah.
And particularly spreading out among suburban towns, candidly, the way the state's set up.
And it's ironic that this study will help prepare us and potentially inform us relative to any of the requirements that HB 8002 may impose upon us. And/or be able to assist the Council of Governments in their preparation for a regional housing plan, which is probably the direction we're all going to go in.
and it, in the first paragraph of their scope of services, it reflects on missions of the Town Affordable Housing Commission, the Town Planning and Zoning Commission, and the Guilford Housing Authority. These are all things that are already in place with some I forget, objectives that we're supposed to be doing. I had just one technical question. The dates of the scope of services go back to September 2025.
Yes, so it's taken, as you recall, we interviewed firms last summer.
Yeah,
It's taken all this time for us to get a compact out of the state, so.
okay. So
Yeah.
this
They're ready to
date
start.
thing will shift a
Yeah,
little
So
bit.
it's a
Okay,
6-month timeline, basically, starting
okay.
once it's approved.
I just wanted to
Yeah.
check that. Okay.
Yeah. I have a comment and a question. My comment is that we're doing this, I believe we should do this because it's important for the town of Guilford. It's not, we're trying to meet anybody's requirements. It's important for our planning, and I think the more and better information that we have about what we would like to do will put us in a better position, down the road as this all unfolds. So all in favor of doing it. I just wanted to ask you though, in the specifications, there's the ownership of documents section, and maybe this is standard, I don't know, but this is on page 37, where the document states that the plans, specifications, and computations belong to the contractor, not to us, and we can't use them on other projects, etc. So does that tie our hands for anything?
Here's page 30. Here's our page 37 if you need it.
So I imagine we would like to.
This is standard boilerplate, but I could talk to Peter about it. It's interesting. Usually, we aren't actually creating technical plans or specifications for this project. It's a study as opposed to plans refer to like literal drawing
Yeah.
plans.
Right.
But I can talk to Peter about it.
All right, thank you.
Pretty sure we can probably get that stricken.
Yeah.
All right, any further questions or comments? How about a conditional motion that we approve this contract with the TPA with Pete's interaction with the firm to have that particular clause stricken?
Stricken or clarified. What's that? Because, I mean, there may be a reason, but I agree. So as it's phrased, it seems a little bit.
I would love to make that motion.
Is there a second? Any further comments or questions? Let me try your minds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, item 8. Now it's Pam's turn. Park and Recreation, 8.1. Discuss and take possible action to set a bid of $29,995 from Hughes Environmental for the community center HVAC cleaning and insulation project. Pam, good morning.
Good morning. Yes, so this is a fiscal year 25 capital improvement project. And on the docket for a little bit. Finally got down to the lowest bidder, which was Hughes Environmental at $29,995. Basically, this is about vacuuming out our 4 air handling units and ductwork, and also removal and replacement of deteriorated fiberglass insulation. Been wanting to get this done for quite some time. We've had the approval from the standing building committee, and we'd like to get your approval as well. Move forward.
Thank you, Pam. Just one note, I worked with Steve Nightoff and Todd Rake on this. There was some concern originally about the differential in terms of the pricing, particularly from Hughes being that low. And we were not familiar with Hughes. They're a new bidder to the process. They're not state of Connecticut. I believe they're from Kentucky.
Right, they have representatives in the area.
And we have traditionally Stematic has been the low bidder. They're a local provider. In fact, I think the principal owns the company lives here in Guilford, but they have traditionally secured the bids, these types of bids for HVAC work for a number of years. But the standing building committee and Steve and Todd are prepared to move forward with these folks in anticipation they're going to do the
References were checked, and there was no reason not to go with the lowest bidder. Yes, we would have liked to work with somebody local, but it's our understanding that.
Right. Not the question of references, but that term gets thrown around, references check. But I was a contractor bidding on stuff. I never submitted a reference to with a client that wasn't going to give me an outstanding recommendation.
Right.
So, but times are different now. You can do some research. You can do some social media or internet-based research that gives you a little more feel because people are.
Yeah, I did do that.
Yeah, and you didn't see anything that gave you anything.
There's nothing that indicated that we shouldn't go with them.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right. Anything further? Yeah.
How often is this done? The cleaning?
Or
A long time. It's overdue.
Yes, overdue.
Thank you.
I have another question, and sorry, this is also just a little bit of forward thinking possibly. Is it possible that our town properties custodians could be trained to do this or get the equipment to do this?
I would say no. This is pretty entailed. I mean, when we went and looked at the ducts.
That's a question. That's a question for Steve Nightoff. This is another highly regulated industry, and the equipment I would suspect would be pretty significant. An acquisition there to utilize a couple of times a year. So,
This is when they
but I'll ask
vacuum and steam the vents, right?
Yeah, there's quite a few units, air handling units and all the insulation. and-
Removing
oh, yeah,
insulation.
Yeah.
Not to mention expensive equipment, electronics interspersed throughout this stuff.
And again, like the other project we discussed, there are materials here too, it sounds like, replacing insulation. things like that. So it's not
And
all.
quite honestly,
not all
there's
labor.
there's quite a nice savings there too, going with the lowest bidder.
And
We're good.
getting something like this professionally done, I believe, It helps to negate other potential problems coming along the way. I remember that from my library days.
Any other questions? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the award?
I'll make the motion.
A second?
Second, I'm sorry.
All right, no further questions. I'll try your minds. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries. 8.2, discuss and take possible action to remove the $60,000 transfer to the Parks and Recreation Program account previously included to offset the fiscal year 26 operating plan. Dan, you want to talk about that?
Sure, and I just wanted to, I know I handed this out during budget time, but maybe we could pass this around, just to reiterate our potential revenue increases for fiscal 27. And just a little feedback on the program account, which I obviously learned about when I got here in 2024.
Thank you.
And it was my understanding from a meeting that we had with representation from Board of Selectmen and Mary Jane from Board of Finance that the account itself was holding on to too much money, and it gave me the opportunity to spend that down on capital improvement projects throughout town, which I did. We did multiple park improvements, especially new sidewalks at Lake Hugh, new fencing all around town. Had I understood that the Board of Selectmen was going to withdraw another 60, I would have been a little bit more careful as to how much I withdrew down. So with that 60,000 that came out in June last year, it took our account under 100,000, which was a little bit uncomfortable. Seeing that we're coming into a summer of the 250th anniversary, we have the fireworks, we have the concert schedule, which quite honestly is about $60,000. So I'm a little uncomfortable with that. However, I wanted to show you what our potential revenue is with some of the changes that the commission has made with beach stickers and room rentals. And it looks to me that we have the potential to make up that 60 right there, just from those changes. So I was wanting to perhaps take that 60,000 revenue that was offsetting our budget out of that for this year with potential revenue that's going to be coming in, and then at least reassess in the fall as to where the account is.
So you're talking about the current fiscal year, the 60 that we were taking.
Yes,
Current year.
yes. And it dropped to an uncomfortable 50. Whereas we have so many things coming up right now that, and already I've already backpedaled in terms of spending on the concert series, which, you know, it's so beloved that, you know, we had talks about cutting out, you know, one, and rather than having the full series, which we don't want to do either. I mean, the community absolutely adores the summer concerts, both at the beach and the
Thursday
green.
nights.
Yep, actually Thursday nights it switched to Wednesday nights.
Oh, okay.
So that we're
I'll
not
put it in
in
my-
conflict with the libraries, our series. But then also we have the fireworks, which is $30,000. So we want to make sure that we are in check with how much we anticipate spending coming up. And of course, with the 250th anniversary, I'm certain there's probably going to be some plans there for whether an additional concert or whatever the plans turn out to be.
Good. Pam, I'm going to respectfully ask that we table this. This is part of a larger discussion with our finance director. I know you've talked to Mary Jane. Mary Jane and I had conversations. I had conversations with the chair of Park and Rec about this. And I know that you have some concerns about where that fund balance is, but that fund balance is very dynamic, very fluid all the time. There may be a point in time that you were looking at that number that reflected November status. June is a long way off, and a significant amount of revenues come in from the program funds between now and June, which may obviate the need for us to protect minimum balance in that
Right.
to some degree. And I know you guys have talked about this on that ad hoc committee that we have. MJ, I think you're online. I am not comfortable at this point making that decision to remove that as a revenue source or to say that it is not going to be there. And particularly since we're in the middle of budget season. And that would impact what we do next year as well.
Right.
Okay, but thank you.
It's
We
important
understand.
to raise the question.
It is.
Yeah,
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think, there's, believe me, a lot of scrutiny on this now. And I think over the 2 years or whatever, this is all positive stuff. And it's different ways of looking at the program fund. And then in the middle of it, we had the ARPA infusion. And then you were instructed to spend the money, which you did on excellent improvements for the town. So this is all good. I mean,
Mhm.
this is all
Oh, absolutely. Just,
Yeah.
not wanting to deplete.
You don't want to get
In a
handcuffed on
time,
something that's
at a
this.
time when it's really important coming up the summer and not wanting to have to cut back
right.
as much, but
Yeah.
If I'm getting this straight, we've got some revenue that's positive. It's good. So this is a good discussion, right, that we
No,
might be able to go
no,
towards.
this is a concern that the
Misunderstanding this, I'm
the
sorry.
program funds,
Yep.
which is it's a reserve account, or not, it's not even a reserve account, it's a dedicated account that its balance fluctuates based on the success and the volume of folks who participate in the fee for service programs that Park and Rec runs. And that money has, at one point, was up to about a $600,000 balance. Over the past 4 or 5 years, we have spent that down to some degree. I know we did some when Rick was here, but we've done more since Pam has been here. And we've wound up using that for items that would have otherwise wound up in an operating budget, right? These are program revenues generated by the programs we offer to the community. Beach passes, youth.
no, not beach
Not
passes.
the beach passes, not the
Yes,
beach passes,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Those go
This
to
the
revenue.
adult lesson.
Right.
All
Yeah,
programming,
Yeah.
all programming. And just to be clear, yes, we anticipate on having the account increase come June because of all summer programming, right? You got summer camps coming, multiple different things. However, not only does that go up with here, but the expenses also go up because we have to pay for everything.
Yeah.
So summer camp say summer camp brings in 100,000, then we might be paying out 95,000 for all the staff. So that's where it
There's a
gets.
tension.
Yeah, and it's something where I haven't been here long enough to see the ebb and flow of it.
Exactly.
That's what makes me concerned about the pause.
Yeah. And that's what will be good for us to see is a budget of the ins and the outs. And what's tricky is that our fiscal year ends smack in the middle of the summer, so you've got
Right.
half, which makes it complicated. But the reason this is important to us now, Jonathan, is that in our current year budget, we have the 60,000 as a negative expenditure. So if we don't do this, then it's like having an unexpected expenditure of $60,000. And that's why it's important.
Okay, I thought you were trying to show us that some of this other revenue has been improving,
Yes,
and
I
that's why you
am.
don't need the transfer.
That's the
I am
second.
trying to show you that, exactly.
Okay.
Thinking
Yeah,
that would replace what was actually.
Okay, sorry, I
Yeah.
was kind of referring to that part as good news.
It is good news.
Okay.
Absolutely good news.
And the overarching philosophy, or the reason we have made the decision several years ago to take funds from the program account is that there are resources that we pay for out of the town operating, out of her operating budget, which go to directly support those programs. So it is not a stretch to suggest that any profits from some of those programs should go to offset the cost to create those programs. And those costs are salaries, benefits, et cetera, for the individuals that work in Penn organization. That's the backdrop.
Yeah.
And it was an
So now may
opportunity.
not be there to.
Well, quite honestly, Mary Jane thinks differently.
Okay.
And Mary Jane has been doing this for, what's it, 15 years here, but even longer in other
So
places.
she's had the experience of watching the account more than I have.
And
That's
it
where
is-
my concern is because I want to make sure we have enough
Yeah,
funds to do all the things that Guilford loves.
It's sort of like looking at our deposits with Stiff, and you look at them in August, it's pretty good. When you look at them in December, it's not as good. The ebbs and flows are throughout the course of the year. All right, I'm going to make a motion to table it.
We're gonna table.
Table it, it's fine. Good, thank you. Is there a second on the table?
I'll pay.
So tell me how that goes. Will you table it and do I come How do we,
We'll bring it back up.
you'll bring it back up?
Yes, we will.
Okay,
And we'll work collectively with Mary Jane, yourself, myself,
okay,
and probably your board chair, Laura, to talk about the ridiculous on this.
okay, great.
Thank you for the update, Pam.
You got it.
Pam, don't lose.
We need let me try your minds on that motion.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
In favor.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. John's online. Item 9, economic development. John Chirudis. John, 9.1. Any updates? What have you got for us?
Hey, good morning all. Thank you. I just want to voice my support for Pam's budget. Any loss in the concert series is going to impact our merchants and the appeal of Guilford overall. So I fully support her and continue those concert series. I understand we're one short of last year's schedule already. So I just hope we continue that budget so we can continue the concert series. To the earlier discussion on runoff and nitrogen and water and fertilizer and the impact on Long Island Sound, just a reminder that Guilford has pretty vibrant activity in shell fishing beds. We have 5 to 6 beds that a lot of people, a lot of our residents, a lot of visitors, a lot of people from other towns come into town, buy shellfish permits and shellfish in the area. So just a reminder that, anything we do in town that impacts that runoff for the good is beneficial to not only the shellfish beds, but also our shellfishing and commercial fishing fleet, which is very active out of our marina. So that being said, I've been working with Sonia and the health department and coordinating test wells for groundwater study and test pits that were dug last week on St. George property. The church has been very generous and cooperative in getting this study done. The new groundwater wells have been put in, and we'll have that data in a few months. We have to get through the spring wet season to determine what the rise and fall of the groundwater is. On another note, our commission is working on some policy changes to update our tax incentive policy for new business and business expansion in town. There is a policy that the town has that has not been used. It's been in effect for a couple of years, and it's time to relook it and update it. So hopefully by February, the commission will make recommendations to the Board of Selectmen for a new revised policy. This coming Thursday, we have a meeting with Janice and police chief to go over with merchants the traffic study around the green and the crosswalk impacts, and just voice those recommendations to the business community and hear comment from them. We met last week with the Green Merchant Group, and they are finalizing their annual calendar of shopping events that should be done in the next couple of days, and we'll push that out on our websites and through the First Media platforms. And other than that, FanFest is looking to return. I'll bring that back to the Board of Selectmen once we have the paperwork complete from the organizer. They'll return October 16th to the 18th back to town, hopefully bring another 800 plus attendees to our town to shop and eat and enjoy Guilford. And that's it at the moment.
Thanks, John. Any questions for John? Thanks, John. Have a great day. All right. Item 10, review and approve the report of expenditures for town government for December 2025.
Good morning. I'd first like to comment on the prior conversation you had regarding the program fund. I do understand the program fund is the unallocated portion is lower than we have seen it in prior years. Just want to let you know, I did advise Pam and the group to continue with their programs. We're not going to let the programs suffer, so to speak, just because, you know, that particular line item might be low at the moment. Like the first selectman noted, we've had conversations regarding this and we want to see how it works out. We don't need to make a decision today. None of us want to see, you know, that balance get so low that it can't support itself. But they've done a lot of good work in that, through those funds, and we're constantly monitoring them. And one option that the chairman of the rec commission suggested, and we can talk about it during the budget cycle, is increasing the percentage that we take from program fees. Instead of that, that's all in budget discussion, but just want to let you know, the subcommittee has met regarding that a couple times, and we're following it closely, and we'll make a recommendation when and if it's warranted.
Thank you. All right, let's start with revenues.
Wow. No, you know. So our revenues are at 60.1%, just slightly less than where we were this time last year. All of our departments are tracking where they normally are, or we at least know why they're not. Some other smaller departments, obviously, they might be in the 30 percentile, 30 to 40, but they're small revenues that are generated sporadically throughout the year. The golf course, we all know we closed the golf course early. That's why they are tracking low. You can see that the interest is coming in. We're at 60%. January will be another high month because we're going to get taxes in, and then we dwindle down in June. So you can see where I feel we'll meet that $1 million, but may or may not go too much over that. Not sure if anybody has any specific questions related to revenues.
Just one comment, not a question. Last week, and you were privy to, I think, some of the emails between our staff and Kerma, our insurance carrier. And it looks like they've identified about $70,000 worth of potential lost revenue that may be applicable. We've been given the indication that lost revenue is in fact an allowable coverage expense on their part, so that we may be able to juice that number.
That would be awesome. Anything else on revenues, Jonathan?
Yeah.
That's okay.
Sorry, I came from Board of Finance, so
You
I
know,
was like something that's more familiar to me. Right? But
it's what I'm here for, Jonathan. You know that.
and I, you know, I got to admit, sometimes I can't remember year to year timing issues and stuff. But just to ask if there's any comment on town clerk recording fees or building department permit fees or fire ambulance, and that was only because I just noticed they seemed like they might be behind for collection.
Well, I believe the town clerk spoke about that during the budget, her budget presentation.
Okay.
How
Don't even remember
conveyance taxes are
Lower.
lower. So that's why she's she's over 50% so far. So hopefully she'll make that. We did bump her budget up because of prior years. So it's not surprising that she's closer to 50% than the 64% from last year.
Okay.
I'm sorry, your next one was?
Building department permit fees and fire ambulance revenue.
Building department fees is purely, just that, building fees. So as the residents and the contractors do more or less, that budget can
Sure.
be cyclical. So I don't remember her specifically mentioning anything during the presentation.
There's a strong likelihood that there'll be a significant jump in fees with the Guilford Village West.
Right.
And the developer is targeting March or April and for their permits. So
And the
that could be
groundwork is progressing at pace.
so that could be a significant boost to those revenues, those permit
Correct. Yes.
All right.
And the fire department is purely based on call volume. last year's call volume was much higher than last year's budget. And this year it just seems to be tracking a little bit closer to where we think it's gonna fall.
Okay.
So a lot of times, as you've heard me say many times, the difference from one year to the other is how we budget. When our budgets are low on the revenue side, our percentages are high, we make an adjustment for that in the following year and it brings that percentage down.
Right, and fire, we just talked about last week as well. Their anticipation of the commitment from the chair was targeted revenues for fiscal year 26, 27, in the amount of 1.4 million, so a $300,000 jump.
Correct, with the change in the staffing for the
Exactly.
for the extra ambulance, yes.
Thank you.
Expenses.
Right, nothing too major to report on the expenditures. Just remind you that a lot of the departments that are over the 50% have to do with expenditures that go out early in the year. For instance, the library is showing much higher than at 58%. That's because we have fully funded their building maintenance. With the library, we give lump sum quarterly payments for a lot of the things, but the building maintenance has already gone out. So that's just one example. I'm not sure if you have any other specific questions.
Okay.
I was just curious on the police budget, also maybe even fire. Was workman comp appropriation zero this year? Or
Well,
was
we
that
don't,
just something missing?
we don't budget workers' comp.
Okay,
So because we pay it out and then we often get the money returned from workers' comp. So it's not a budgetary item.
okay. Sorry, didn't even notice
No,
that.
not
Not to be confused with the hypertension line item.
Oh, well, that's,
Separate.
yeah, that's totally separate.
Small.
The workers' comp line is payroll that goes out. It's just a classification of payroll that we use, but we don't budget for that. It would be part of regular salaries. Because we're paying the full amount out to the person and then we're getting part of that reimbursed. We just track it that way so that when we have to do reports for workers' comp, we have a separate.
Any other questions on expenses?
I'm sorry.
We got- no,
Monopolizing so much time, but there's
That's right.
just a couple more items I need to ask you about. I want to ask you about capital. I think it was a CIP Lathrop House facility
Mhm.
projects. Is that a zero appropriation?
Anytime we choose to use set aside reserve funds, we have to expend it through our budget. So there is no budget for it at the moment, because it wasn't part of the initial budget. At the end of the year, we will bring funds in. We make those transfers at the end of the year to cover those. So a lot of the items in capital specifically may not be originally budgeted, and that typically means we have money set aside in reserve.
Okay, and then engineering sidewalk, it looks like we did go past the appropriation. Is that, what drives that? I thought we would just do like as much sidewalk work as we had.
Well, the original appropriation in the sidewalk line is the amount that the town gives to the sidewalk fund on an annual basis. What the overage is a project she's working on for sidewalks that is coming out of the reserve for
Okay, I
sidewalks.
understand.
Again,
Thank
so
you. No, I got it.
90% of the time there's an overage. It's because of that. The other 10% might be a little over because we might budget it correctly. But typically when you see no budget or an over expenditure, it's normally because we have money set aside in reserve.
Thanks.
Anything else on warrants or medical?
So did you say medical?
Medical, yeah.
So on the medical side, story I've been telling for a while now. So if you see in December, our claims were very high. And if you remember, I had a note last year last month, that because of the Thanksgiving holiday, we didn't get a draw at the end of the month. So you kind of have to take the average of November and December, which is about 1.5 million. Now, that being said, if 1.5 million is our average for already November and December, and if we make the assumption that a lot of our deductibles have already been paid, that means that could potentially be our average for the next 6 months, which, as you can see, is higher than budgeted. Obviously, yet to be seen. I'll just say under catastrophic claims, if we take the total claims that have reached 87.5, which is half of the 175, which is where we start tracking, our numbers are up 6 from last month. 6 people are on their way.
So that's a possibility of stop loss.
Correct,
benefits?
correct. Anything over 175 would be covered by stop loss.
Yep.
On the number of members that have hit that 175, we're up 1 this month. So those numbers are tracking. We're at 31% covered by ISL. I am showing a $350,000 receivable because Anthem pays it out and the new insurance company reimburses us. So there's always a month or 2 lag there. So I am showing a receivable down at the bottom just to bring my numbers up, looking a little bit better. We're still very low in our fund balance. As you know, we talked about it during our budget presentation, and we will be having a presentation by the consultant at the February Board of Finance meeting, and it's going to be starting at 7 o'clock. So instead of 7:30. So you'll be getting information on that. If you remember, we had a presentation by him last year with all 3 boards. This year, it's going to be during the regularly scheduled Board of Finance meeting so that the public can really hear what's going on. Their question, go ahead.
I got a question about warrants. I'm sorry, just one.
Warrants, I'm sorry. Yeah.
There was a warrant for special fund warrants. It's on page 65 of my book here. It's kind of the first page of the special warrants, but it's for Love Your Home LLC, Town Center Tree Planting. Is that something we're doing in the green or the? What is that for?
Well, I know we do have a large project going on through Kevin McGee's office for tree planting. That's part of that's pulled over from ARPA funds. I think it's the last piece of our ARPA funds. I've just lost my connection, so I can't.
Oh, no problem. It's just like a
Figures, a minute to ask a question, my
trying to figure out.
computer goes down.
I'm assuming that's.
I'm assuming that's what that is. That would be the town set. It's the only tree planting program other than whatever we might do here in the front of town hall. So that has to be that needs to be done.
Even the trees that were planted in front of town hall were part of Kevin's.
Oh, we're part of that too as well? Okay, all right.
Just kind of wondering where they are too.
We'd have to ask Kevin McGee specifically, where they are.
They're up Church Street, they're up State Street.
Yeah, I've seen them near your house, right? Yeah. Mhm.
All the way up to the high.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the full scope of that is.
Yeah, up through Adams.
Okay. And then I just wanted to note, I think December medical was maybe the worst experience we've had so far. First claims.
Well,
She just.
again, it's because we didn't have a draw at the end of November. So you have to average November and December. So it's 1.5.
Still up.
It's still up. Yes. That's
Okay.
my point. If it stays at that
Okay.
rate, we're going
I'm
to.
sorry that went by me, but I got it. You gotta average it
It's a
out.
30% bump, not 100% bump.
Right, because see my note at the bottom that's still there. November, we missed 1 draw because of the holiday. So November looks great, but you have to average it really with December to see the true costs.
Okay. Thanks.
No problem. As
Anything
long as I
further?
answer the questions the same way twice, I'm okay.
Anything
It's okay.
By me a little bit.
No problem.
further on financials? Hearing none, let's move on to Rutland. Consider and take possible action to transfer $80,498 from reserve for personnel into full-time police salaries.
So this is the last of the requests for the current year. And as a matter of fact, these numbers are already reflective in the reports that I gave you during the budget season the sessions, on the assumption that you would approve this final. As you know, the police contract was just recently signed. So this is, again, money that was budgeted in reserve for personnel to make up for the potential of the finalization of the contract. So that's why the request is being made to move that into police full-time salaries.
So just for everybody, as I look at the screen out there, I mean, the whole idea of reserve for personnel is in order, as contracts come in the middle of a budget year, rather than have these lumpy additional hits on the budget, money's allocated in the previous year's budget for the next year as reserved for personnel. Right, so it's part of the, it's already been budgeted.
It's budgeted in the same year. In the same year.
That's a better one.
So we estimate.
I'm saying we anticipated
Right.
it last year.
We estimate what we may think, the contracts will come in at, but the departments really like to have true numbers in their budgets. So if we throw in $100,000 just in case, then the numbers skew from year to year. So this way, the money is set aside in a separate budget line, and we just move it when the contracts are approved, are finalized.
There's some left even after this one.
Yes, there is some left. I want to say 120 something thousand, if I try to remember my numbers. And what we typically do with that, if we can, depending on how our year goes, we might take that money and put it into, we have a reserve for personnel, and the fund balance side, as well, for times when we don't have the funds to,
So
if something comes up mid-year, say we open a contract mid-year, or which we could, then we have money set aside in fund balance that we would move over. So if we have money at the end of the year, potential is to maybe move that into there. But again, all discussion for two boards, at the end of the year. But that's what that is for.
Good. Anything further?
I'm hoping you'll pass it since you got.
All right. Yep.
I make a motion to transfer the 80,498 from reserve to police full-time salaries.
A second?
I'll second that.
Any further comments, questions? Hearing none, let me try your minds. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joe. Let me take a quick break. Yes, you want to, yeah, okay. A quick 5-minute break there.
Right.
I do it. Because.
All right. Yeah. Everybody's got some bit of winter cold. Consider and take possible action to set a public hearing date of Thursday, February 12th to discuss an ordinance amendment regarding the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. At our workshop meeting last week, I think I covered this with everyone. What we have determined is that we were a little bit tight when we put this ordinance together the first time. And it related specifically to the acquisition of property as opposed to other types of promotion, research of affordable housing and needs in general. The Affordable Housing Commission has already determined that there are a couple of initiatives that they'd like to get underway, which will require some funding. Nominal funding. I think there's a video that's is more than contemplated at this point. They've done some private fundraising. They got some money from the Guilford Foundation, but adding this little bit of language gives us the opportunity to use those funds to promote the affordable housing, the efforts to develop affordable housing over time. So that's what you see here in terms of the amendment. Excuse me. So nonetheless, are there any questions prior to putting a motion on the table? Let's put a motion on the table to approve it, right? To approve the meeting date. The meeting date.
So moved.
A second? I'll second. Okay. Comments or questions?
So with promoting affordable housing development, does this mean like marketing? This means actual getting contractors to build properties?
All the above. Work with contractors. The video is going to inform the community about the need for for more affordable housing, what those opportunities are, and it is to clarify, large measure, what affordable housing really means for a community like Guilford, as opposed to communities elsewhere.
We had an 8-minute video done in 2015 when Joe Mazza was first selectman, and we interviewed various people in the town, officials or citizens, discussing affordable housing. That was more of an educative video at the time, because a lot of people needed to understand what affordable housing meant versus low income versus Section 8 versus workforce housing. And it was a good video at the time, but if you look at it now, it's kind of old fashioned. And so the Affordable Housing Commission is going to produce a new video talking about the issues of affordable housing now now. It's 11 years later, but the Affordable Housing Trust can do other things with the money as well. And
Right.
You know why when the money comes in, it comes in if a developer has a project over 5 units but doesn't want to make any of them affordable, so they have the option to contribute funds to the trust as opposed to making 1 or 2 of the units or whatever the percentage is versus to their own project.
And as discussed recently, the developer fell into this statute and
yes.
had to contribute $500,000.
Well, they didn't have to. They had the option.
In lieu of.
Yeah, and that was.
They have a choice.
And that was the mutually agreed to cost of developing those affordable housing units. And it was agreed to by both the developer and Planning and Zoning Commission, which has the authority to set the thresholds for the payments in lieu of.
And then by supporting approved Affordable Housing Commission initiatives, that could be marketing, that could be
Could be a variety of things.
things in publications,
Right. So
reports, studies.
Right. Yep. So the full extent, the ordinance talks to who has control. And this is exclusively what the Board of Selectmen has the opportunity to determine what costs are covered, what programs are covered.
Right, the commission can make recommendations,
They-
but the
they come to us with
selectmen make
recommendations.
determination.
So originally it read, section C said expenditures shall be made exclusively for the costs associated with the investigation, appraisal, acquisition, construction, yeah. Now, what we've added is costs associated with promoting affordable housing development and supporting approved affordable housing committee initiatives. So just adding something to that. That's it. That capability.
So obviously, I have a lot of concerns about all the things that surround this and its trust and the direction that the government's going in. And I'm weary about government getting involved in housing more. I'm worried about, is this the right way to address affordable housing?
What would be the right way?
I've got concerns about local control.
What would be the right way? Do you think the marketplace takes care of affordable housing?
I do in some.
Tell me,
yes,
give me one example.
Yeah, I do think when the supply of houses is high, supply of properties, residential properties is high, that can lead to a better market circumstances for all buyers at all levels. But I'm weary.
I'd be interested in the spreadsheets that support that statement. I mean, if the marketplace over the last 50 years has, in a state like Connecticut, which is extremely prosperous for the most part, with pockets of desperate poverty, and then a lot of working class folks who are struggling to afford houses that have in some cases tripled over 20 years. I'd be very interested in the data rather than the sort of the broad statement that you're concerned about the proposed solutions. If you think there's a valid way that the marketplace is going to address this problem, the next time this comes up, I'd be interested in that.
Just generally too, I prefer the market to government involvement.
Show me the numbers.
I'm also concerned that this will take on a life of bureaucracy of its own. And you got to wonder sometimes how much money will actually end up buying affordable housing, how much money will end up in programs or studies, consultants.
I'm comfortable with that piece of it because we're approving the expenditures. So I think that's the point where if there was an expenditure you didn't think was appropriate, we're the buffer. But the agenda item is to set the meeting date.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's hard for me because I can't really, I don't want to support anything around it. I don't want.
So
any
you
direction.
just said you don't want to support anything relative to the development of affordable housing. Are you on the record as saying?
No, I'd like to support affordable housing in different ways. I'd like to make the code for developers be easier to work through, less fees. I'd like to stop crowding them out with purchases of open space when we already have an abundance of open space. I'd like the state not to buy 21% of the property in the state. I have concerns about meddling with the marketplace.
But the question.
I want to see more housing
The
built.
question is more affordable housing.
I like the idea of more affordable housing
And I think Lou just.
with more supply.
And I think Lou just gave you a series of questions to answer relative to how has the market been able to develop affordable housing here in Guilford over the decades and centuries that Guilford has been incorporated. It just hasn't happened. So this is a part of a statewide initiative to develop more affordable housing so we can fill jobs that are vacant in this state. The 90,000 jobs that the Connecticut Department of Labor says are going unfilled. God forbid, 90,000 people showed up to fill those jobs from different states. They've got no place to live. All right. And affordable is in a variety of things. It's the entire stack of housing. It is not what most people think about, and that's what this video is going to talk to significantly is, it is not Section 8 housing that so many people react to viscerally when they hear the term affordable housing, which unfortunately is the term that everybody understands. Workforce housing for young families starting up. The cost of buying a house in Guilford is so cost prohibitive today that many of the folks who work for us in town government can't afford to buy a house in this town.
Or even rent.
Or rent.
So if you
It's
look
low.
at the lower paid jobs in our town government, even though we're trying to get that money up, I would offer to you that the lower the paid job, the more unlikely it is that that person lives in Guilford. I'm sure if I believe I can just say that off the top of my head. I was one of those people at one point.
Good.
So,
All right. Well, as Sue said, we're doing is setting the
Right,
public
we're just
hearing
trying
where
to set
people will
the
have the
date.
opportunity to weigh in. You will have the opportunity to weigh in at that public hearing about your particular ideas on how to promote affordable housing here in Guilford, other than just let the market take effect. So, any further comments at this point?
I would sort of just add that the financialization of housing has almost guaranteed that the market will not be able to solve this problem. Okay, but what that means is people don't just buy houses for shelter. In many cases, as the phrase goes, it's the single biggest investment they make in their lives. And a consequence of that is, again, in a state like Connecticut, people who have the resources buy properties, large properties in a town like Guilford, that are unavailable to all sorts of people. Now, it's on a level we're all comfortable at. And many of us, I benefit from that as just personally, okay? But as a member of the community, and in order to solve the bigger problem, we all have to kind of, in my opinion, we all have to look at this problem collectively and figure out a way which some of these proposals that we've talked about today are going to try and address. So the second problem with this financialization issue is, in many places, I don't know about here quite as much, but certainly in some of these red hot markets, people that are buying properties are as private equity and other investors, and they literally have zero to do with their personal housing needs. But it's a pure investment that people are using to generate cash flow, which again, that's the marketplace and that's great, but that is antithetical to the concept that any of that's going to be affordable for anybody, because none of that is designed to reduce the amount of rents or the cost of these properties. All of it is inherently designed to raise the value to the investors. So in my just survey of this problem, the market is uniquely unresponsive to addressing
So there's another event that's coming up in town on March 10th. Betsy McCaughey's going to talk about some of the negative impacts of this bill. And there's a proposal that Dave Holman has emailed us about to have someone else speak in support of it. I think that might be a good forum to talk about the pros and cons of this kind of legislation, how it's going to affect Guilford.
I'll have to get my transcript of what I just said and I'll send it in.
Yeah. I have no interest in getting in the middle of a political campaign issue for the recently declared Republican candidate for governor. No interest whatsoever.
I think debate would be healthy. Your sides.
Okay, I don't even think that there is another side to not promoting affordable housing. So if you're talking specifically about 8002, you will have an opportunity probably next Friday, the 30th, to attend a CCM workshop. Because you're entitled to participate in the CCM workshops. It's going to be, I believe it's going to be at 9 o'clock. They haven't sent out the notification. It'll be Zoom capable as well, I believe. Unfortunately, a lot of us chief elected officials are going to be at a current annual meeting, but it will be taped. And we will be able to put it to play. And this is talking about the specifics of 8002, getting some of the politicization out of the discussion and the facts about what's in the bill, what is not in the bill.
Did you say in a previous meeting, though, CCM does support HB 8002?
CCM and cost both supported HB 8002.
Okay.
Supported it as
we
organization.
did receive some correspondence on that too, about some Dave Holmes looking for that on their site and can't find it.
There's nothing on the site right now, and most people can't get access to the site. It's a private site.
And then, in all fairness, he pointed out that CT Cost for the previous generation of bill had asked the governor to veto it.
I asked him myself.
Okay.
While we were walking around the green in Guilford, I asked him myself, because he wanted to know my thoughts on the 5002. And I told him the problems that were specific to Guilford, all right, and then some that are larger. And there were actually, I shouldn't even say this, but I've been teased by the cost and CCM leadership as well as the governor's staff that there's a Mathway provision in that bill. And that was the exclusion of up to 8% of property where the no parking on-site parking requirement would be waived. That part of that bill said that you could build up to 24 units, all right, without having to require on-site parking. My biggest concern, which I relayed to the governor, walked him around and said, look, if let's say there were a couple of developments here that yielded another 30 housing units here, where would we park 60 more cars downtown? So that was one of the things that we were against. 5002 was definitely something that CCM stood against because of certain provisions, not the overall concept. Same thing with cost. So the modifications that were made to that bill is what created the opportunity. Well, it wasn't even that. CCM and cost were at the table with legislative leadership and the governor to revise a bill that had been problematic to so many of us. And that includes bipartisan chief elected officials in the state of Connecticut. I stood side by side with them at a couple of press conferences. So yes, cost and CCM supported them.
And I know this is going on forever, but just to reiterate what you said after the passage of the second bill, that you will be providing interpretation and guidance of this bill through study of CCM and I guess
you guys are all going to have the opportunity.
We all need that.
Yeah.
So that we can then we have our own concerns. I can't raise a concern right now because I need to understand it better. And that's what I'm hoping to achieve, I guess, starting on January 30th.
We're walking down.
So stay tuned. You'll get the invite for it from my office. And it's not only going to be you, but it'll be to the town planner's office. And it will also be planning and zoning. So yes, there are some implications to this. They are not as draconian as some folks are saying, and loss of local zoning control. I have yet to have anybody tell me exactly how we lost, what the loss of zoning control that is so severe actually is in the.
Thank you for those comments.
So we better call the question.
Yes, let's call a question on setting it. Setting a date. Setting a date. Call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
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 That motion carries. Thank you.
Time of that, what's the time of that hearing?
It's in the morning.
Okay.
8:30 a.m. Okay, item 13, appointments and resignations. 13.1, discuss and take action to appoint Amy Sullivan to the Board of Fire Commissioners for a term to expire October 16th, 2029. I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Comments, questions, etc.
This is a reappointment.
This is a reappointment. Yeah.
Yeah, so I have some comments, obviously. We had reached out to Ms. Sullivan about her reappointment.
We heard that.
and,
We heard that earlier.
Yeah, and we were unable to communicate with her, so we did end up having our candidate be Mr. Riley. And I was glad he came today because
Me too.
he's got a lot to offer to the board, and maybe we can consider him in the future.
I agree.
A lot of experience with fire and safety, but we do ask people if they want to go through the RTC to go ahead and let us know. And I think you mentioned to me that it's pretty customary to put people up for reappointment who say so. And I can't speak for the RTC as we vote on that, but we probably, that's a very distinct possibility. We were in touch with her. So I just wanted the public to be aware of that.
Thank you, John.
So other than the procedural difficulties within the committee and the efforts to reach Ms. Sullivan, is there any objection to her service?
Well, there is a possibility that if they both came to us, we may have chosen Kevin as our endorsed candidate, as we have now with her not being there. So that's something that I can't determine how that would have happened. We don't just consider, public service, which is amazing in Amy's court. But we also consider how interactive they are with the party, and then we consider their life experience and skills and how they relate to the board. I think on the town website it says the same similar language. So I don't know who would have been selected. I can't.
But
tell
the
you.
minutes, you guys were talking about the minutes, and I think you said if Ms. Sullivan did not want to keep her seat, you would recommend Mr. Riley. That was exactly what was right.
Yeah, which is what we did.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, Jonathan, thank you for bringing up the point that it has been tradition for as long as I can remember that anyone who had successfully completed a first term and was entitled and wanted to serve a second term, we have granted that wish. At least has happened 58 years here. I don't recall, and I've been doing this a long time. I don't recall anybody being bounced from a second term. It may well be there. But I've never seen that, and it is really, owing to the service already provided. And I will also tell you that the balance of the Board of Fire Commissioners completely supported her being based on her contribution. So thank you for acknowledging that is past practice. And actually, I'm going to bring something up about that in a minute. So I can fairly well expect that we'll continue with that tradition, unless there is something egregious about the time of service during the first term. Thank you. 13.2. Oh, wait, we didn't vote? That's right. Let me try your minds. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Recusal? 13.2. Discuss and take action to appoint D. Jacob to the Economic Development Commission for term to expire November 30th, 2029. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, let me try your minds. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. 13.3, discuss and take action to appoint Bill Shank to the Marina Commission for a term to expire November 30th, 2027. Is there a motion?
Make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, let me try your minds. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries. 13.4, discuss and take action to appoint Jeffrey Beckham as an alternate to the Planning and Zoning Commission for a term to expire 2/28/2028. Is there a motion?
I'll motion.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Just note the 2/28/28 is filling the balance of a term that has been vacant for quite some time, as opposed to a
Yeah, I
new
think I
full
saw
year
that,
term.
trying to look at the.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
that's why. Okay, let me try your minds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. 13.5, discuss and take action to appoint Maxwell De Cataldo as an alternate to the Guilford Lakes Golf Course Commission, term to expire 1/31/2023. Is there a motion?
So
And a second?
Second.
Try your minds. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries unanimously. 13.6, discuss and take action to appoint Richard Donato as an alternate member to the Marina Commission for a term to expire May 30th, 2028. Is there a motion?
Yes.
Second.
And a second. Let me try your minds. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries. Before we move on to request for town property, what I wanted to do is just talk for a minute. This is a follow-up to a decision or conversations we've had about when we would appoint folks, how far out in advance. Apropos of conversation we just had about us reappointing those folks who have already successfully served a term and giving them a second term. A number of the appointments that were tabled at the originally at the December 15th meeting in accordance with allowing that month. There were at least, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 that were tabled that were straight reappointed. Again, so thoughts on if that is something traditional, a month and a half out is really not that far out, and if we can start getting, as you know, public service announcement that you said, people indicating early on that they're would like to run again, that we can put that to bed even sooner. So, but the other aspect of that, it would be, doesn't give people an opportunity to identify candidates, but quite honestly, the likelihood of us not reappointing somebody is what they call slim to none. Right?
And short of some circumstance I mean, there's a reason that reappointments come up and the terms are a fixed period of time, but I mean, I don't want to, it's not automatic.
Right.
But that was the point of my question. I don't know that I heard any objections to consultant service, so.
Got it.
I have no reason.
I would be concerned if it was automatic. You
I
know,
would too.
obviously, people who are outside looking at government, they want a shot, they want to be on board, they want to participate. And sometimes they don't like the way the policies are going and they want to bring something to the table.
Got it.
So, you know, I don't know if it should be automatic. I admit that it's fairly customary.
It's not
It
automatic.
would be automatic.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
would vote on it. It's just the 1 month window.
Time, it's the time.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's
Yeah.
It's the 30
I
day.
apologize. So it's really just if, but then does that give other people a chance to put their hat in? You know, they're sort of waiting for the commission to expire,
Well, yeah.
you know,
It-
and
it-
how far in advance, a year, 6 months? Or-
Well, at least the town committee that I belong to, they're always identifying a couple of months out the vacancies coming up, and also confirming with anyone who is currently serving that they'd like to be reappointed, so they don't have to go through the process of interviewing.
May I confer with our nominating chair who happens to be here?
No, that only took, the only thing with that was when, say, one party knows someone that has a 4-year term and does not want to be renominated, they are the only people that know. So then the other, the other two parties don't have an opportunity
And the only
to name it. But we talked about that and we said we would work with that. We would give it once the other two parties know, you would give them a chance to apply. So we talked about that.
So I don't know where we're.
But you're
getting
wondering
closer.
whether we should all shorten it in terms of reappointments versus new people, is that it?
That's it. Is that?
Do you see that
You know,
difference?
we can think about this because we only got
If
2 weeks.
if it's a renomination or reappointment, then it doesn't make a difference. If it's someone who's only served one term and then they're putting in a resignation, then that affects the other two parties.
You're comfortable with that?
Yeah. If it's a renomination or reappointment.
Good.
I don't,
You don't see it coming.
No, I'm fine. It just seems easier if we have the same timing for everybody, then we don't have things on the agenda that have the reappointments versus new appointments.
Right. Yeah, yeah,
I
you're.
appreciate you letting her comment because she's living it every day, every month.
So at some point we have to take some of these off the table.
Yeah, but either, that's what I was thinking, I'm taking them off today, or take them off in the February, first February.
Oh, so January.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Because then it doesn't give the other two parties an opportunity to put someone up. That's the issue.
Right.
So like you said, if you want to keep it across the board to 30 days, then it's the 30 days.
I'm willing to go either way. Not married to it, one way or the other.
I'd rather not make the change today, so let's just make sure we put these on the February agenda.
Yep.
Okay, and think about this a little.
And there are also there were two that we tabled, for full membership, moving someone from alternate to full membership. On planning and zoning, and then, appointing a replacement, to the alternate, so. And again, that's a term that would expire, expires 2/28 of 26, so we're covered. All right, we'll do is we'll leave them on the table until the February meeting. Is that good?
That's good. While we're on this topic, this may be pushing it a little bit, but is there any value in having someone go through the members listed on the website versus the big spreadsheet versus reality? I mean, we had John was here this morning, and he mentioned that his listing is not up to date and current. Is that a project that?
That's something that's Brendan would be able to do. He obviously inherited a system that was put together by somebody else, and a lot of that we do not know when people stop showing up.
Yeah.
Right. And so we need to push. I think we need to push more of that to the respective board chairs, the chairs and vice chairs, to identify the changes in a timely fashion for us. That makes sense.
Yes.
And again, Brendan, Brendan's learning curve on all this.
Yeah.
And the other thing is tracing you all players, right?
Sure.
It's a little different, but Brendan's getting there. But all right. Thank you for that. That's a good suggestion. All right. All right, request for use of town property. 14.1, discuss and take action to approve a request to use the green for extravaganza, March 28th, rain date, April 4th. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Hearing none, let's try your minds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That motion carries unanimously. Back 14.2, request by the Westwood Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses to use wine in a religious ceremony at the community center on April 2nd, 2026. Let's get a motion on the table to discuss.
I'll make the motion.
A second.
Yeah, I'll second.
And I know that we've been talking about putting a committee together that hasn't happened yet. Quite honestly, I am 100% supportive of a religious organization utilizing the community center, and I have very little discomfort with what they're suggesting the use is, which is a symbolic sharing of wine, and they have given us all the assurances.
They're taking great pains.
And I was the one who suggested tabling it,
Right.
and not because I was against it, but because we had said we might be looking at this question of alcohol use in a larger frame. But I spoke to Matt and I said, we haven't done that yet, and we will do it, but this poor group is waiting, and we, for some reason, voted no. They have to find another place. So I'm very happy that this is back on the table, and I plan to vote yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they have a track record.
Yes.
I wanted to just comment that, I'm absolutely for this. I mean, I think this is a completely reasonable use of alcohol in the green. But I did want to say that I like things to be transparent and uniform. So kind of, is there a policy that we can say that this, these are acceptable?
We've already discussed this, and we're going to set one, but that's the reason
We haven't done
we
it
hadn't
yet.
done it yet.
Yeah.
We didn't want to keep this one
What did we put
particular
in
group
there?
hanging.
Did we put a committee together?
No,
We got that far.
we said we were going to, but we haven't done it yet.
Okay.
So we are going to do
And
it.
I'm in a complete agreement with you. I just, I want other people to have that transparency. I said, okay, I want to do something similar.
And I think when we do this committee, I think I'm nominating you.
Oh, please.
Only because you're the icebreaker at the library years ago.
Everybody else can back.
No, because we're the icebreaker at the community center.
Certainly, I'd be
At the
happy to
library.
serve.
Thank you. Anybody else want to serve on that?
That's like a joke.
Oh my, you're on a roll.
We'll leave it up to the other folks
The
to.
meeting's going past 10:30. It's going to go down now.
I know. But I think the larger question is not only just the community center, possibly the library, but, we have loosened the strings on this to a degree with particularly use of strings.
Wings.
That was not intentional. So I think we probably should look at that as well. We have events that take place on the green now that are sponsored by organizations where we allow the serving of alcohol, including a town event now with the Wings and Strings. I know there's some folks who prefer to see that event take place at the fairgrounds where it makes it a little easier to do that stuff, but my personal bent is more use of the green we can have as a collection and gathering point, the better. So we might want to consider a large one because rumor has it that some people bring alcoholic beverages to the summer concerts. Rumor has it. Rumor has it. So I think it's a larger question. Now, I'd be pretty much dead set again. Beach, because so many kids, bottles and that stuff, and the parks and that stuff. That's fine.
Yeah, sometimes there's just a regulation that says don't bring a glass bottle and you're okay.
And you're better. Yeah.
I'm not saying that's the
you're
perfect
right.
solution, but
You're right.
it might be part of it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we voted on this? No, we didn't.
No.
So let me try your minds. All in favor?
I,
That motion carries.
That was 14-2, right?
Yeah. 14-3.
I'm sorry, which one were we?
We were just on 14-2, the
The Jehovah?
Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, sorry.
Yes. You got it. 14-3, discuss and take action to approve a request to place a sign on the green for the Guilford Interfaith Volunteers in Guilford High School. Sign placement January 23rd. Is there a motion?
so moved.
And a second.
Second.
Good. Let me try your minds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ready reports? Same?
No.
Nothing. Correspondence?
So
Anybody?
Steve, I have a correspondence from Mr. Holman, and I will
Yep.
concede that he sends a great deal of correspondence, so it's a little bit difficult to go through. But I just wanted to note that I received it on 1/4 and 1/7. He sent emails again regarding federal civil rights legislation, which we went through before. He wants to make sure our hiring practices are in line and that we wouldn't open ourselves up to a suit. And he specifically mentioned the 30/30 initiative and the Guilford Public School System student teacher president program. He also sent an email regarding emails that we're receiving, and he noted that we had some discussion about trouble seeing our government emails or not looking at our government emails, which I'm guilty of. I don't even really know how to do that yet, and I do want to do that though, because I think when somebody puts something on the website and they want to communicate with the Board of Selectmen, I think it goes to those Guilford town website addresses.
You can determine which address you want on the web on our website.
Okay.
Okay, so you can have that choice.
Yeah.
We, one of the things was we have been getting them over the 8 years, but there was a
We just
internal change.
when we went to Office 365, it required interaction with
Some of us did not quite complete that change, but I can say for one, you're in the process of having it.
They did, but apparently not.
You did, but anyway, so it isn't
I'm
that
working on it
we're
too. I'm
not,
gonna see
you
Tony.
know,
Yeah.
there was a
Talk to Tom.
technical glitch that we honestly are aware of and are trying
Well,
to.
it's not necessarily a technical glitch.
It was my
It required action on the part of the
Yeah.
end users
Right.
to do something, and it may have been less than clear
Right,
in the transmittal of that information.
yes.
Apparently so.
I still don't think I'm there. The last email I have is from January 5th, so I'll have to stop that.
So the
Yeah.
last email I got since the last meeting was 1/11, and it was regarding HB 802 and the Charter Commission. And Mr. Holman is asking what I brought up, that maybe somebody come and have a debate type of event in March, which I do believe would help. I really do, to just, as long as it's fair, both sides start talking about pros and cons. And I know you may not like it because Betsy is made our announcement that she's running for governor. But you know, these are the debates that are prevalent in the town and in the residents' minds. And the last comment he made is he wants us to follow a guide he found on CCM for charter revision process. I thought that was something that was not.
We're following the
Pretty
guide, we're following the
possibility.
guide, we're following the guidelines that town council
Yeah.
gave us,
Yeah.
which are statutorily defined. I bet they're gonna be closely aligned whatever CCM puts on, because they're probably
Okay.
just quoting state statute.
Yeah, and you know, I have amounts of agreement or disagreement, but I thought that was not too unreasonable request. Maybe CCM has some good guidance. You usually refer to them, right?
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, will information be posted on the town website about how residents can apply to the Charter Revision Commission?
I've already, no, they can, it's been in
You said this at a meeting.
meetings,
People
said
can
it was in
express
the
their
newspaper.
interest.
I've already gotten inquiries from half a dozen folks in town.
Okay, and then I think typically the newspaper is the standard, typically, right, for notification.
Well, it's not a notification, it was a story that was written specifically about charter revision and how how people could be considered if they were so interested, which was to reach out to the selectman's office.
Okay.
I'm going to take the opportunity, since I am here, to debunk at least one of, not debunk, but at least address and allay some concerns relative to hiring. Mitch, want to talk about, are there any concerns that you have that we are violating any federal guidelines relative to our hiring practices?
No, there's not, especially we do put out a affirmative action policy every year as required and by law, and also by our town attorney, labor attorney looks at it first, make sure everything that's written in there complies with any state statutes, executive orders either issued by governors past and present, and presidents past and present. So if anything's included there, we follow it. As far as our hiring practices, we're very strict on non-discriminatory practices and making sure that everyone's given equal opportunity. It's in our announcements, every announcement for hiring, and we follow that. And I think that we've done our best to make sure that everyone's given as fair a chance to apply for any position and be considered for any position that's offered.
Glad you have time to just take a look at it. Yep. I don't know the answer there either.
Not a problem.
You know.
And I have a philosophy that's akin to sandlot baseball. When I was a kid playing neighborhood sandlot baseball, there were two guys that one guy, one girl, two girls, whatever, became captains, and you picked your own team. Guess what you picked? The best players you could get. And that's what we do here. We pick the best candidates that apply for jobs to wind up hopefully attracting them to work here.
Right.
That's the process that we use. The best candidate that fits the job. Can they do the job?
I like it. Good old fashioned meritocracy.
All right.
Thanks, Mitch.
Well,
Old business, we already took care of. I was gonna go as witnesses. New business.
Selectman, did you want to talk about Boomer Bracken correspondence?
Yeah, there's a couple items
It's up to you, of course.
attached.
I saw them on
Just make note when they arrive.
Yeah, acknowledge that they got that we received them. We'll respond in kind.
It's on Shumpus.
Yeah, Bloomer, and then Shop. Right. That's more background for
Okay.
us folks relative to community input. That's the committee.
I'm on the committee.
That's the committee.
I
that
know.
you start.
I may reach out to them to just make sure I understand what their sense is of when they want to meet.
Well, it's interesting. It was similar to some of the concepts that I had raised about the location of the statue.
Sue.
Yeah, Sue had as well. You know, I had originally talked about right where the covenant is.
Yeah.
We had talked about the state. I'm sorry. Got my ringer up. That should happen. So, yeah. There were several locations that should be considered. But we also will consider any locations around the green that might be appropriate as well. So, anything further? Correspondence? Anybody want to say anything else? No. Okay. Old business.
ask about the police commission interviews?
Yes, yes, thank you. Process is still one that I want to have, which is, and I had some conversation with Jonathan about this, that Jonathan was under a misinterpretation that we were, our plan to interview the candidates was only going to apply to Republican candidates. I assured him that was never the case. That was never the case. It wasn't. It was never.
I just want to make a comment. In all fairness, what I was really driving at was that I didn't believe Roger Joyce was interviewed.
He wasn't.
He wasn't.
Yeah, so that's why I couldn't understand, because his application came in a little bit after our guys, and then he was put on the agenda almost immediately.
Right.
So these are my concerns, they're real concerns, and I just don't want to be like misunderstood. And I don't claim that the Board of Selectmen can't ask for interviews. I believe we can kind of ask applicants for all kinds of information.
Right.
But I just wanted our guys to treat it in kind of a uniform way and to be put on the agenda.
Consistent with the statement we just had literally moments ago that, you know, the best candidates for any opportunity, any responsibility, any job. And in this case, we seem to have a wealth of opportunities and a wealth of candidates. And this is one way to sort through that.
And the unusual nature of this nomination, or this open seat, is one that we haven't seen in 8 years. There was a letter writing campaign that was initiated on one side or the other, but equally, if not more, vocally responded to on the other side. That pause that gave me pause that this was creating a situation that we'd never seen before. And our good friend Charlie Haverda reminded us that this was not unprecedented. And he, in fact, himself had to was subjected to an interview for either zoning board of appeals or planning and zoning at one point. So it's not that big an anomaly. I do have one question, and we've talked a number of times that you still have two candidates that you want interviewed from the Republican Party, in addition to the already identified candidate from the Independent Party. Are you still looking to do that? Because you can't seat two people.
I don't know.
You don't have to answer that right now.
Yeah, maybe just think about it, but
Yeah, please think about it and get to us. My plan was to have Karen start reaching out to us in terms of times and dates, because we're doing the interviews. It's not just me, it's all of us are doing the interviews. And then the schedules of the applicants, either 2 or 3, depending on what your response is.
Okay.
Good.
Appreciate that.
No
That's
problem.
moving in a good direction.
Good. Anything else?
Good question. The letter writing campaign, is that something I can be privy to? Because I think it predates me. Is there some letters
yes,
that?
yeah, we'll try to find it.
Board of Selectmen have received them?
Brendan will try to identify those.
All right.
So I'm not sure I still have them all, but not my email box every once in a while. Sure. All right, public forum. We're going to go into executive session, but public forum first. Deb?
I don't know, does anybody else?
Come on up.
Hi, Valerie Ferrucci.
Hi, Valerie. How are you today?
Good, Independent Guilford, now meeting chair. I did have something I wanted to speak about, but also regarding our applicant for planning and zoning that was approved today, would he be, and I know a bunch were tabled from December and I didn't have that information with me, but could he be recommended for the full seat that will be expiring next month? And with the 30 days, I'm not sure how that applies in that case, because his application.
Certainly, we would consider an application.
Okay.
In full disclosure, Larry Rizzolo was recommended to fill the full seat. And that's one of the ones that we tabled.
He's a current alternate.
And again, he's a current member.
Okay.
As you just heard, the likelihood of us appointing him is probably pretty high. Since he's been on the board. That's typically, it's not consistently the process, but qualified and capable individuals who've served in an alter position get moved up.
Absolutely.
And same thing with Jeffrey. And I've heard wonderful things about him as well. So
I just wondered because of the timeline when his application went in, but I understand.
Can I debunk something?
Yeah, sure.
First in, first out is an old inventory term. That does not apply with these. Time and date stamp, we don't do that in terms of the applications. We look at all of the candidates regardless of what date they submitted them. So that's the way it works.
And with the 30-day, because what I've done in the past is, even since you made that 30-day new policy, if we send in an applicant 3 months prior,
Fine.
that's what I've been doing.
Yep.
And I understand that it wouldn't go on the agenda until the 30. So that's still acceptable,
That's
correct?
acceptable.
Yes. Okay.
Whenever you identify candidates
Yeah.
that you want to put in, please do.
Okay.
Please.
I
Just try to
think.
make it more transparent for everybody.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to take the opportunity to say something. 5 years ago, Roger Joyce came to me and said, I'd really love to go on the police commission, or fire commission, or the police commission, right? And I had that in the back of my mind 5 years. I've known Roger for 20 years, and I knew he would make a phenomenal candidate. So that's that process of people identifying themselves for possible roles. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with people. In fact, when I first ran for this job, when people said, Matt, how can I help you?
I can't.
And these are a lot of my friends, my social friends. You take a look at the list. There's a lot of my long-standing friends in town. I said, you can help me by getting involved, volunteering for a board or commission. And that was prior to my even being in this job. So that's the way I approach this. If we have qualified people, identify at any time that you have an interest in something. I can't tell you how many times I've emailed out the roster of all the boards and commissions to people who said I'd like to get involved. I think it happens 2-3 times a month.
And if I may, I mean, I support all people. My hat's off to people who want to do the public service. I mean, I've been doing it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's been great. Sometimes it's been tough. But it's service to the town. My hat's off to anybody who's volunteering.
So now I have my formal spiel that I had.
Uh-oh.
So thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'd like to briefly address some misinformation that's been repeated at these meetings lately. This is Guilford's highest profile board with a history of cooperation among local political parties, and words matter. The new Guilford order is that there are 3 political parties. I was a founding member of Independent Guilford and continue to proudly serve alongside some of the most generous, community-minded volunteers in town, many of whom are quite familiar to the people in this room. I'd like to clarify for those who need it that Independent Guilford is a political party in Guilford, with all the rights to boards and commission seats as any other political party. We currently have more than 40 independents serving in elected and appointed seats. Without the independents, the town and its education system would look quite differently today. Thank you in advance to the members of the board who have the courage to keep the information broadcast from these meetings accurate and who step in to prevent misinformation and political grandstanding from confusing the public.
Thank you, Valerie.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else from the public online? Deb's in the room. Come on over, Deb.
Debbie Demusis, 18 Sugarloaf Road. So initially I was going to give a timeline on our applicants for police commission, Tim Donlin and Christopher
Foster.
But as you said, we're going to consider all of them no matter, because I did have the timestamp and I did, there was some type of talk about the dating of the applicant and the timestamp. So I did have that, but if that's not going to be considered, that's fine. I guess I'm more concerned with the fact that I understand that you thought about Roger Joyce and all those years, and on September 2nd, he was elected to the Board of Police Commissioners. By that time, Tim Donlin and Christopher Foster's application was in, and there may have been a third application. So my question is, why wasn't one of those 3 picked? Why didn't you use meritocracy at that time to pick one of those applicants? Why is it taking this long to decide who else will be applying to the police commission?
It was clear to me, and I made the recommendation to the board that Roger Joyce should go on the board. We had the other competing candidates that we weren't completely.
No, I'm not. Yeah, no, I'm not discrediting that.
And meritocracy. You want to talk about meritocracy? take a look at Roger Joyce's CV and what he's
No,
done in
no.
his community.
I believe all
That's
of
what
that. No, what I'm saying is there was another position available.
Right.
So
And there were
what-
two candidates. There were at least two candidates, maybe three.
Then there were two, okay, say there were two positions available.
Yep.
And at that time, maybe there was Roger Joyce, were two of the Republicans, maybe there was another
It
one.
was an independent
Okay, so there were four.
Check the timestamp on.
No, I believe it. There were four. I'm not arguing that. What I'm saying is you placed Roger Joyce on, which you had the right to do, and he was a great candidate. Why wasn't the other position, the other opening on the police commission filled?
Right.
Because you would have chosen the one.
At the time, I wasn't comfortable making a recommendation. I think anybody could have made a recommendation. Everyone on this board knew who was interested in it. Anybody could make a motion at a meeting to add somebody's name to the agenda.
Okay, so
Right.
Sue Renner did not make a decision to suggest.
Or Charles Abbott could have put.
Right. So no person on the board at that time made a recommendation.
Right.
And then the letter writing flurry started too. So there was all that, all of a sudden you were getting all these letters from.
Well, I mean, of course, I'm not privy to that, so I don't know anything about the letters.
Well, if we're pulling those together for Jonathan, we can send them to you too.
Well, I guess what I'm asking is, and I understand everything is a process. So I know at one time before, I guess at the end of last year, you stated that you would like to interview these people. So I'm just requesting again that we do that in a hopefully a timely manner. So one of these three candidates can know if they're on the police commission.
Agreed.
Yeah.
That's assuming you continue to have two candidates forward. You guys got to make a decision if you want both to be considered and have it a three-way race or a two-way race. That's, you guys can.
Okay, well, I am the chairman of the board and commissions on the Republican Party, so I would like both our candidates to be considered for the position. Then I guess maybe that will help the process. And again, I would also like to note that we are about 3,400, so we would appreciate having a seat on the board since there's the majority, which are the three Democrats. We have one independent representative. It would be nice to have one Republican represented on that board. So thank you.
Anyone else online? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session for the purposes of considering an application or tax abatement. And their motion.
Make the motion to go into executive session.
Second.
I'm going to invite Becky in and Carl McCusker. During the executive session, there were no motions made, no action was taken, but as a result of the discussions and information that was shared with us, I believe there are two actions that we need to contemplate. First of which is the granting of a tax abatement under the Affordable Housing and Tax Abatement Program. We won't name the individual for privacy's sake, but is there a motion to approve the application that was filed by a Guilford resident?
So moved.
Second, I'm just going to point out that it's actually called a reapplication for tax. It's just a nitpick, but to keep it consistent with the agenda.
Right, and also maybe add to that motion that it's a tax abatement for the full amount of taxes.
Yes.
Correct. Okay. All right, motion made, second on that. Any comments or questions? Let me try your minds. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries unanimously. The second action is a result of an application received in the tax collector's office for a modification of status for a veteran's exemption. That being the applicant had not been qualified for a full 100% full disability prior to the application window for the current tax year. However, the application is for the fiscal year 2026-27. So that individual, if granted, will have the abatement applicable to the July 1 tax bill. Is there a motion?
I make the motion.
And a second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, let me try your minds. All in favor?
Aye.
The motion carries. I believe we're at that point where I saying, we have no further action to take. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you all. Thanks.
Aye.
Uh,